it's the one part of the world that you can't predict because we're human and you can't predict what we do.
Hey, Eric, thanks for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm great. I appreciate you having me. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, all things considered, it's a blessing to have the opportunity to chat with amazingly awesome HR professionals like you. So, for those that do not know Eric Miles that are listening in today, please tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'll give a Cliff Notes version. I am an HR practitioner, probably by accident and a little bit of courage. I got into human resources because I realized I really sucked at being a call center agent and really didn't like it. May have gotten fired a time or two, but you know we'll leave that in the past. What's in the past is in the past. So long and short, honestly, true story was working in several call centers, just wasn't very good at it, wasn't my thing. Had an opportunity to help our HR department do some pre-screening over the phone. They gave me a sheet of paper. They said, just call, here's some applications. You're just going to go down the list, ask them some questions, like them, schedule them to come in. I was like, okay, great, I can do that. Did that. That was my first taste. Fast forward a couple of years later, went to an interview. The lady who's interviewing me, her name was Brenda Severson. Never will forget her. Still friends to this day. And she's going over my resume, John, and she's just like, oh, you'd be great at customer service. I'm like, you're killing me. And I legitimately paused and I said, you know, Brenda, I said, I don't want to do that anymore. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, honestly, I want to do what you do. I had zero experience, like no recommendation, no referral, no experience. It just so happened she had a person leaving, resigning from her team, and she gave me a shot. Literally, true story. And that's where my experience in human resources, more so on the talent acquisition or recruiting side of the business, started. So I was working for Manpower. Back then, I was assigned at Abbott Labs, Ross Products division of Abbott Labs, and the rest is history.
Eric, can you give me your kind of general, how you would describe the purpose of the function of HR?
Yeah, you know what's great about human resources is that we're in the people business, right? So it is all about the human capital. It's the one part of the world that you can't predict because we're human and you can't predict what we do. So when I think about human resources, I think about us being a service center or a center of excellence. So we're really there to provide leadership. We're there to provide research and training and best practices. We're there to provide any number of support for the human capital, and that's how I view, the goal or the function, the role of human resources. In short, to me, it's taking the caterpillar and turning it into a butterfly, and so success looks like for me. You take something and you're completely able to transform it. And so when we think about human resources, we are talking about how do we transform people? How do we transform business? How do we transform through the way that we do things? And so my idea is, again, taking that caterpillar, turning that caterpillar into a butterfly. So it starts out as one thing, and there is this, metamorphosis that happens over the course of time because happens overnight. To me, when you can produce something that is magnificent out of something that maybe someone overlooked, that starts to garner success for me.
You love to work with people, you love to develop them. You have obviously your comparison of how they grow into magnificently beautiful butterflies. And in my mind, this HR like a boss concept is amazingly awesome business people that just so happen to practice HR and own and take responsibility for the things which they are responsible for. Because the impact that HR can have is profound when you really think of it, right? When you really think of great HR, the impact, and when you think of bad HR, the impact, right? There's a paramount difference between the two. And I've been fortunate to see the good, and it's been unfortunate to see the bad. And so I want to hone in a bit on your kind of love for people, because a lot of times when I talk to either new entries into HR or I speak at college classes, why do you want to get in HR? Well, I like people, right? And I think over time, some folks in HR end up not liking people.
Yeah.
And then in turn, those people that they support don't like HR. So
Yep.
is there a reason why you think that happens, that progression for you?
Yeah, so two different words that we use. So I use love, you use like, right? So there is this, yeah, you can like people, but you can unlike them as quickly as you like them. But when you talk about love, right? Just love for humanity. So I'll go here. We may have differences in terms of ideology, morals, values, etc. But I think that when you look at humanity as a whole and you can find a place of a genuine love for people, regardless of our differences, it helps you in everything that you do.
I think the timing of what you just shared is paramountly, I think just profound. Is obviously our love for our differences.
Yep.
We're seeing that in our world for just right in front of us. And it's for me as a person that loves people as well, like it's hard for me to see. Like I was raised by a business. My dad was an executive of a hospital, and then my mom was an artist who, like, she just loved, her love exuded out of her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it didn't matter who you were or what you did, she just loved you, and that permeated. And I think just kind of thinking through this concept of how that HR function can make people feel, and your ability to no matter what your role is, whether you're the CEO or you're a manager or you're an IT developer or you're kind of have a different responsibility. HR's responsibility is to love them, right?
Yep.
And love the people for what you do, no matter what your role is, and then connect the dot
Yeah.
between what your job is and what you're doing every day as to how this organization is going to be successful, and getting as many people doing that as jointly as we possibly can. I believe in this. This word love is okay. She used the word passion kind of
Yeah.
as a definition for it. It's not this romantic love, which people might in nature like, oh no, I can't. You can't love people at work, right? That's wrong, right? We'll get in trouble. That's kind of the
Yeah.
HR police coming out of us. But I'm just curious in your kind of your perspective, when someone doesn't love what they do,
Yeah.
right? And especially if it's in HR, what is your counsel and advice to them?
All right. So if you're not passionate about what you do, it's not going to be sustainable, because the moment that something happens that's contrary to what you define as success, you won't have the buoyancy or the power or the ability, the zeal, the insight, the information, any number of things to be able to plow through the difficult seasons, right? That are really a part of the maturation to who you're supposed to become. And so when I think about, whether love, passion, however we choose to describe it, it is important to have that, because without it, I don't know where your motivation comes from.
One thing I want to make sure we share, like, it's okay for someone if you don't have that passion for HR, and when you do that exploratory discussion with yourself and you keep coming back to, well, the company's okay, and it seems like the purpose is okay, but I just can't seem to get myself after this every day.
Yeah.
It's okay that like you did, you
Yeah.
went from one career, you thought this is what I was supposed to do, and you mentioned self-deprecatingly that you
Yeah.
got fired a few times or weren't in those roles for long, and now look at it's something you're doing that you love to do, you have a passion for, and it exudes.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so you've got to be, what does it say? To thine own self be true, right? If you're not going to be honest with yourself about the things that you enjoy, the things that you're good at, and be willing to pivot, you are missing out on sharing the best version of you with the world.
All right, I'll get you out of here on this.
Yep.
I have this definition I'm trying to create, and I'm playing with it in the book, and it's got the amazingly awesome and ownership and responsibility and impact. I'm curious for you, when I say that person does HR like a boss, what are they doing? How do you define that?
Yeah, I would say it's three things for me. So it's one, it's a person who's a practitioner, right? So it's not the do as I say and not as I do. So it is literally the person who is practicing what they preach. So not only am I the HR person, but I'm also thinking about myself as the employee as well. So I'm making sure I'm completing that circle. So one, it's being a practitioner. You're being a student of it as well, just like you're the teacher of it. I would say number two, it's about being purposeful. Doing everything that you do with intentionality, because nothing happens by mistake. So that means that I'm taking time to be thoughtful, to be strategic, um, to think about everything that I have the ability to touch. And then finally, I would say it's about taking things personal. I know this one would be a little bit like, ugh, in HR, right? It's like, oh, don't take it personal. No, take it personal because you have the opportunity to make an impact, to engraft, to embed, to train, to develop. And so when people fail, take that personal. When people succeed, take that personal. When we miss the mark, take that personal because HR should be the engine that is driving the organization forward through its people. And so if we have people who are not equipped, I got to take that personal as an HR practitioner because somewhere I may have missed it. So you got to take things personal and not to the extent that you go off the deep end and you get depressed and you want to quit and throw in the towel. But no, you take it personal to motivate you so that way you can discover where are my blind spots, what am I doing well, and that to me would be doing HR like a boss, being the practitioner, being purposeful, and then taking everything personal. Maybe not everything, but you get the point. So
No, I do. I certainly do. Thank you for checking out today's video episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, as well as share with a friend. And until next time, let's continue to aspire to do amazingly awesome HR.